Hi, Bentley. Hello, Finnegan. Okay, there we go. You know what? No better time than to say hello. Welcome to another dog vlog. I'm going to be telling you what I would look for if I was to be picking out a new dog food. On Instagram, Facebook, here I'm at RachelCaraFusaro, and on all of those platforms, you guys are constantly sending me dog food brands where you're asking me, hey, is this a good brand? What do I look for? So I'm going to tell you today what I look for when it comes to dog food brand. And then my boys got a new toy. And they actually got two new toys. They're the ones in there. And I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna give them like a review of how the toy is. This is not sponsored. I bought this with my own hard-earned money and I'm really excited about it. But first, I'm going to talk about dog food because you guys love that topic and candidly, so do I. All right, so this is the food that my boys eat. You guys know I work with Bones & Company, and this is something that I don't think many people talk enough about. So first things first, this is raw dog food. I am a massive advocate of feeding your dogs a biologically appropriate diet. And what that means is food that is not processed. Dogs were never meant to eat highly processed kibble. Think about it. Kibble can sit on the shelf for months or years because of all of the carbs and preservatives that are packed into it, which no dog was ever biologically meant to eat. And that's my belief. I highly encourage you to be empowered pet parents where you go and you learn yourselves and ask around and do your own research. But sometimes I think life requires a little bit of common sense, and dogs need real food, just like you and I. They have shorter digestive tracts and higher acidity in their stomach. So I know some people are like, oh my gosh, they're gonna get salmonella, but that's never been a concern of mine because of the way that they are built. So let me talk about the things I would look for if I'm picking out a dog food. Obviously, I'm always gonna recommend to pick out a raw dog food over a kibble. I'll talk a little bit more about kibble and what I would look for if I had to pick a kibble later in the video. But first, let me talk about raw. So again, what this is specifically is 95% meat, bone, and organ, completely raw. Like here, I'll show you guys. And I'll show you why I have these Kongs here too. So it's not cooked. The only preservative is really the freezer. And so the things I'm looking for, because a lot of you will say, oh, I wanna feed Bones & Co., but it's not near me, or it's whatever the reason is, totally fine. While I obviously love Bones & Co., you guys know, I have a YouTube channel dedicated to my dogs, so obviously my dogs are important. So what I feed them is one of the most important decisions I could make for them. There are other brands that I also really love, which I'll talk about in a moment. So I want you guys to be making educated decisions, not based on a brand, but based on what is in the food and what's not in the food. So the things that I look for, first off, is gonna be that meat, bone, and organ content. So if you're looking at frozen food or raw food at your local independent pet store, you guys are gonna ask, where do I get this? Local independent pet stores. Please, please, please do your best to support the small guys, especially right now, versus the big Petcos and PetSmarts, because I'm a firm believer that dogs do not need 10, 20, 30, 50% produce and carbohydrates in their food. So dogs thrive in the presence of higher healthy protein, higher healthy fats, and very, very low carbs. So I'm looking for a food that's gonna be low in carb. Now, how do you know what the carb count is? Because on pet food, they don't put the carb percent on there, which is amazingly, amazingly convenient, right? When in my opinion, it's the most critical ingredient we need to know about in the food, because too many carbs have been widely shown to have correlation and association to metabolic diseases like cancer, obesity, diabetes, epilepsy. So anyways, it's really convenient, but you can look on your dog's bag of food at the guaranteed analysis. A quick and estimated way of hair, oh my gosh, of hair on my cheek. A quick estimated way to look at the carb count on whether it's a raw food or even a kibble is you take all of the numbers under the guaranteed analysis, which is gonna have like fat, protein, fiber, moisture, etc. You can take all the values, or all numerical values, you're gonna add them up, and then you're gonna subtract that number from 100. So for here, you guys can see, you probably can't see, but all of these numbers will add up to like 98, 99, which means the carb count on this estimated is about 1-2% at most. Other things I'm looking for a brand that when you look at their ingredient deck, they don't have any vitamin packs. And you may be wondering, one, why, and two, how do I figure out what a vitamin pack, whether or not they have a vitamin pack? So the way you typically can find out if they have a vitamin pack, same thing actually goes for kibble or dry food, is looking at the ingredients. If there's all of a sudden it says like meat, bone, organ, some vegetables, and all of a sudden there's like 30 or 20 ingredients that are kind of even hard to read or pronounce, it's most likely a vitamin pack. And vitamin packs are very difficult to regulate. There have been issues in the past with recalls around vitamin packs because you're relying on somebody or a lab or a manufacturing plant to put the right amount of vitamins, synthetic vitamins. And for me, that's just like a risk I don't really want to take. And I would rather my boys and my cat to get their nutrition and their micronutrients from whole foods, not from added synthetics. It's similar concept as you getting your vitamins from fruits and vegetables versus a pill that you hope is regulated and has the right amount of nutrients. Obviously, and you guys can see I'm stuffing a Kong here because I'm gonna freeze this and give this to the boys as a fun treat. Obviously, I'm looking for a food that does not have any fillers. So like corn, lentils, peas, those are things that there's no, in my opinion, there's no nutritional requirement at all for ingredients like that. Like I'm literally looking for food that's mostly meat, bone, and organ. This food, for example, we have a little bit of produce in there. It's like less than 1 to 2% of the total ingredient deck, just to make sure that the dog has all of the micronutrients that they need for a complete and balanced diet, but it's in such a small amount that it's a non-issue at all. And if you think about a dog in the wild, they're gonna eat the whole prey, right? They're gonna eat what's inside the stomach. So there's gonna be a little foliage in there. So I'm not concerned about that. I really love finding foods that are handmade, like here in the US. So a lot of foods, they will get their proteins from overseas at different countries. And while I'm not saying that other countries have really poor quality meat sources. Like New Zealand actually has some really good sourcing of some proteins. But if we're looking, especially when we're using real whole food, I really like food that is sourced in the US and made in the US, and I live in the US obviously, because it's traveling less. So the freshness, the quality, the bioavailability of the nutrients, because they're not sitting in freezers and being shipped overseas or in a plane, it's not gonna be as long or as much of an issue. So for me, I prefer to have it more local just because it's more fresh, and candidly, I love to support local. And on that note, I love brands that are small. Another thing is price point. So obviously raw food is gonna cost a little bit more than a kibble food up front, but if you really look at the health benefits of feeding them a real food versus a processed food and the potential vet visits that you're saving, to me, this completely outweighs. And my big thing with raw food is this, because I have people say, okay, I get it. Dogs should be eating a raw, fresh food diet over a kibble diet, but I can't really afford it. And especially times right now, we have to be doing whatever we can to conserve our finances, and I totally get that. I'm right there with you. So what I recommend is a little bit of raw, in my experience, goes a long way. So maybe you feed kibble for breakfast and a raw patty at night, so they are getting some real whole fresh foods in their diet. And of course, the sourcing of the food is really important. So cage-free, humanely raised, responsibly raised are things that are really important to me. So these are things that I look for in the food, that if you don't have this brand near you or you want to try different brand, which is awesome, those are things that I would look for. You're gonna ask me, what are your favorite brands? So obviously Bones & Company is what I feed my boys, so take that for what it is. But I also really love a couple other brands. I really love OC Raw Pet Food. They are a little bit different formula than this, but they are a really good brand, and I know the company and I really respect them as people as well as an organization. Primal Pet Food is one that I really enjoy. Another one, if you want a gently cooked food that's not raw, raised right, is one that I liked for the gently cooked category. Answers Pet Food is one I really love as well. So for me, it's less about here, only feed this brand, and it's more about what's accessible to you, what's something your dog does well on, and let's try to get them as much fresh food as possible. Now, if you guys want to see some examples of fresh food items that you can add to your dog's kibble or even their raw food diet, if you just want to give them a little nutritional boost, things that I would do for my dogs, you can click the video linked up here. And then I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing here. So one thing I love to do is I love to get a Kong type toy or even a smart feeder, and I love to stuff the food in here and freeze it. You guys see me do that all the time. And the reason I do that is because it makes the boys have to really work to get the food out of it. And as you've seen on my previous videos, which I'll link right here, I am having some separation anxiety issues with my dogs because we're in a new apartment. You guys can see this is a new kitchen. And what I do is I take their Kongs, freeze them, and I put them in the rooms that I leave them in whenever I leave the house, and I have them work on it. And I'll still supervise them through the PetCube cameras because I do not believe in leaving toys, even a Kong, alone with a dog. If you guys want to know why, I'll make a video on that. Just comment below. Also, what kind of dog vlog is this? And you haven't even seen the boys yet. Say hi, Finnegan. How are you enjoying your new apartment, huh? Bentley, how are you enjoying it? He's looking for food. Now all they do is see the food. Hi, this is the chest freezer actually, guys, that you can get these so inexpensive at like a Home Depot or Lowe's. I used to keep it in the garage, but because we're in an apartment now, this is where it stays. And I had a couple of people ask me also on a different note, like, what is this? Like, why, what is this? So this is the room that Finn stays in when I leave. And so what I do, or what I did, because he could open this because there's no lock and I didn't want him to be able to get out, is this is a magnet. I just got it from like a Home Depot, and it hooks to this. And then I basically just put the other magnet right here with a little Velcro. That way it keeps him from opening it. That way he doesn't get out and get into something, huh, Finn? And you see, guys, this is why I feed him those Kongs and his meals in this room, because now look at him, he wants to go in there. So now when I leave, if I have to go somewhere and leave the apartment, he's not super freaking out. I also want to give you guys a quick update on the Fresh Patch potty pad. It's been over a week, 100-degree plus weather, and it's still going great. Both boys are still using it, still love it. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Bentley, where are you? Yeah, you love it. And it's been so convenient. I'm so thrilled with that, so thankful that they sent me that to review. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how much to feed your dog, because a lot of people will ask, okay, well, how much do I feed? If they're a puppy, if they're an adult. So why don't you click the video right here, and together we'll jump over to that video. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.